Then, on the 14th of October, two visitors from the French Ministry of Defense arrived to see a gloomy prime minister at his country retreat, Chequers.
The French had invented the following scenario: that Israel should attack Egypt. Thereupon, Britain and France, who had forces in the neighborhood, should say, we cannot allow this kind of war because it will interfere with the Suez Canal, and therefore we are going to intervene and hold the two countries apart.
I happened to be in Paris. So the Minister of Defense called me in and he says, did you ever thought storming over Sinai? And that's how it started.
Eden is enthusiastic about this French plan. Not only will he be able to seize the canal, he sees a way to bring about Nasser's downfall.
You bomb Egypt, you create panic within the country, you link this to an invasion, the Israeli invasion, and the new government will emerge, and Nasser will be no more.
The document agreed on here, known as the Sevres Protocol, puts down in black and white the covert plan to invade Egypt and fool the world. When this document finally emerged 40 years later, it confirmed how a British Prime Minister had deceived the world and deliberately engineered a war in the Middle East. On October the 29th, the Israelis land a parachute brigade deep in the Sinai, as agreed at Sevres. But the Israeli advance towards the canal is a fake, designed purely to convince the world that the canal is threatened.
It was about 40 kilometers from the canal, or 45 kilometers. But when you look at big maps, then you can say, the drop was not far from the canal. That was enough to fulfill the needs of the British to say the canal is threatened.
We didn't go into the motives and consideration of France and England, because our aims were clear.
The following day, Britain and France issue their ultimatum, as planned at Sevres. Israel and Egypt are to cease fighting, or the two Western powers will intervene. Eden knows this is an ultimatum that Nasser cannot accept. On the evening of the 30th of October, the ultimatum expires. Shortly afterwards, Nasser hears planes in the skies above Cairo. As the bombs fall, a frightened Egyptian population rush to join civilian militias.
Most of us, the young people, decided that we're going to defend the country. We really didn't know what we're going to do because our training was very cursory. It included one clip of live ammunition. When we joined, the first thing they did was they gave us those cases of Kalashnikov rifles right out of the boxes with grease. And they said, okay, here's your rifle,
This makeshift civilian army now waits for the arrival of British paratroopers.
You hear a lot of fire, people firing rifles and firing in the air. We didn't know what to, everybody is a parachutist, Any noise, you think somebody had just come from the sky. So it was a very, very tense moment, and we were scared.
But Cairo, where Talat Badrawi and other volunteers are waiting, is not the target for the British paratroop assault. Port Said, at the mouth of the canal, is where Britain will begin the reconquest of Egypt. After 5 days of aerial bombardment, 668 British paratroopers land in Port Said. The city quickly finds itself under occupation, but its population is determined not to give Eden the easy victory he has anticipated.
And then they landed. The British landed in Port Said. So of course we wanted to wipe them out.
All the people have arms and guns and machine guns. They shoot at the aeroplanes. and every Egyptian people are ready to sacrifice himself in order to defend his country.